Have you ever felt truly unseen? Like a ghost in your own story, walking through a world that refuses to acknowledge your worth, even when you're standing right in front of it. This is the story of Nadine Keller, a young woman who knew that feeling all too well, but chose not to let it define her. Her journey was a testament to the quiet power of self-belief. A powerful reminder that true value often lies hidden, waiting for the right moment to be revealed, not by an external spotlight, but by an inner fire that simply refuses to be extinguished. Nadine, a quiet 27-year-old software engineer from Dusseldorf, had finally reached a pinnacle many only dream of. Her master's degree, hard-earned and self-funded, was clutched in her hand like a trophy forged from years of late nights, meager meals, and an unshakable resolve. She had poured every ounce of her being into that degree, a silent rebellion against a life where her accomplishments often felt invisible to those closest to her. This evening, she was at a celebratory dinner, or so she had been told. The grand, opulent banquet hall of the Schlossgarten Hotel, a venue known for its exclusive clientele and breathtaking architecture, hummed with hushed conversations and the clinking of crystal glasses. Her parents, resplendent in their finest attire, moved through the room, greeting distant relatives and family friends, their smiles bright and expansive. But Nadine wasn't among them, not truly. When it came time to be seated, her mother, with a dismissive wave and a saccharine smile, directed her not to the main table where her older brother, Lucas, was already holding court, but to a small, isolated table tucked away near the kitchen entrance. "Nadine, darling," her mother had chirped, her voice lacking any genuine warmth. "The main table is quite full. You know how chatty your aunts can be. We thought you'd be more comfortable here, with the younger cousins." The younger cousins were two restless children under 10, already smearing cake on their faces. Nadine's jaw tightened imperceptibly, a familiar ache settling in her chest. She had expected this, of course. For years, Lucas, with his boisterous charm and superficial successes, had been the family's golden child, his every minor achievement lauded, while Nadine's quiet, diligent efforts were barely registered. She funded her entire education, working 3 jobs, writing code into the early hours, while Lucas had his tuition paid and an apartment gifted. Yet, she didn't argue. Her silence wasn't born of weakness, but of a deep well of self-possession. She simply nodded, pulled out a chair, and sat down, her posture straight, her gaze steady, observing the scene before her. The shimmering chandeliers above cast a golden glow on the celebratory feast, but for Nadine, the air felt cold, almost clinical. Her master's certificate, the culmination of her sacrifices, lay tucked away in her bag, unseen, unacknowledged. Later, as her father raised a glass, his voice booming with pride, proclaiming a toast to Lucas's recent promotion at a mid-level marketing firm, Nadine watched from her secluded corner. Lucas preened, accepting the accolades as if they were his due, his eyes scanning the room, never once meeting his sister's. The champagne flowed, laughter erupted, and the clinking of glasses filled the vast hall. Nadine sipped her water, a quiet resolve hardening within her. This feeling, this pervasive invisibility, was a burden she had carried for too long. But tonight, something shifted. It wasn't anger that brewed within her, but a calm, potent conviction. This was not her place, and this was not her story. She would write her own. The following morning, the Grand Schlossgarten Hotel was still shaking off the remnants of last night's opulent celebration. Trays laden with half-eaten pastries and discarded champagne flutes were being wheeled away, the lingering scent of floral arrangements mingling with the faint aroma of stale cigar smoke. In the quiet, ornate lobby, where the morning light streamed through tall arched windows, a lone figure approached the polished mahogany reception desk. It was Nadine. She wasn't wearing the simple, unassuming dress from the night before, nor the academic gown that symbolized her recent triumph. Instead, she was dressed in a sharp, tailored blazer, her hair pulled back neatly, her expression composed and utterly self-assured. Her eyes, usually veiled with a quiet intensity, now held a distinct, almost thrilling glint. "Good morning," she greeted the young concierge, Clara, a woman still rubbing sleep from her eyes, a hint of disdain on her face as she sized up Nadine. Likely assuming she was a straggler from the previous night's party, perhaps lost or looking for a misplaced item. "I have an appointment," Nadine continued, her voice clear and resonant, a stark contrast to her usual soft murmur, "under the name Keller, for a booking." Clara's eyebrows arched. "A booking? For what, dear? A small table for breakfast, perhaps?" "The main dining room opens in an hour." There was a subtle sneer in her tone, a dismissive air reserved for those she deemed below the hotel's usual clientele. Nadine offered a faint, unreadable smile. "Number for the grand ballroom, and several suites. We discussed the date for 3 months from now." Clara paused, her dismissive expression faltering slightly. Bookings for the grand ballroom, especially for months in advance, were handled by the hotel's senior event manager, not the morning concierge. I I believe you might have the wrong department," Clara stammered, flipping through a few pages on her booking ledger. "Such large events are usually organized through Mr. Schmidt, our event coordinator. Are you perhaps with a catering company?" The implication was clear. Nadine, with her unassuming demeanor, couldn't possibly be the principal. "No," Nadine stated, her voice steady. "I am the principal, Nadine Keller. The booking was confirmed by email last week. It's for a corporate event, a launch." Clara's eyes narrowed, a flicker of suspicion crossing her face. Corporate launches, especially those requiring the grand ballroom and multiple suites, were multi-million-euro affairs. They were booked by titans of industry, not quiet young women who had been relegated to the children's table just hours before. "I see," Clara said slowly, picking up the phone. Her tone was now laced with overt skepticism. "Let me just check for you. There must be some mistake." She punched in an extension, her gaze fixed on Nadine, a silent challenge in her eyes. "Mr. Schmidt? I have a Miss Keller here, claiming to have a booking for the grand ballroom. For a launch." Clara paused, listening, then her eyes widened slightly, her jaw falling slack. Her face, a moment ago hardened by condescension, now registered a profound shock. She lowered the phone, her hand trembling slightly. "Miss Keller, I apologize. Mr. Schmidt confirmed your booking. It's a six-figure booking. He said he was just about to send the final confirmation." Nadine simply nodded, her expression unwavering. "Indeed. And I believe the contract specifies the new partnership details. The booking is signed by me, as the new partner of Quantum Leap Solutions, backed by Mr. Court of Teen, Alistair Sterling." The name hung in the air, a silent bomb dropping in the hushed lobby. Alistair Sterling. The name echoed with the weight of global innovation, a tech mogul known for his visionary investments and uncanny ability to spot the next big thing. Clara stared at Nadine, her mind racing, trying to reconcile the quiet girl from the children's table with the confident woman who had just uttered the name of one of the world's most influential investors. The dramatic irony was palpable. The very venue that had witnessed Nadine's quiet humiliation was now, unwittingly, becoming the stage for her profound triumph. The air in the lobby crackled with an unspoken recognition, a sudden, blinding shift in power dynamics. Nadine stood tall, her presence now commanding, the invisible woman of yesterday now radiating an undeniable, quiet authority. Clara, still reeling from the revelation, could only stammer, "Mr. Sterling? You mean the Alistair Sterling?" Her voice was barely a whisper, laden with a newfound, almost fearful respect. The name, whispered in the opulent lobby, reverberated with the weight of its significance, instantly dissolving the last vestiges of her disdain. Nadine merely offered a small, knowing nod. "He's quite confident in Quantum Leap Solutions, and in my vision for its future." Clara, humbled and visibly flustered, quickly regained her composure, but the tremor in her hands was still evident as she gestured towards a plush seating area. Of course, Miss Keller. Please, allow me to escort you. Mr. Schmidt will be down immediately to finalize all the details. Can I offer you a coffee? A pastry? Anything at all? Her tone had undergone a seismic shift, now dripping with obsequiousness, a stark contrast to the casual dismissal of moments before. Nadine accepted a glass of water, her eyes scanning the grand space, no longer with the quiet resignation of the overlooked guest, but with the discerning gaze of a principal. She understood the sudden change in demeanor. It wasn't about her, not really. It was about the power of the name she had invoked, the reputation of a man who could effortlessly move mountains in the tech world. But she also knew that without her relentless work, her groundbreaking ideas, Alistair Sterling would never have even looked in her direction. Her quiet ambition had met his perceptive eye, creating a formidable force. As she waited, Miss Schmidt, a portly man in a too-tight suit, rushed into the lobby, his face flushed, wiping beads of sweat from his brow. He approached Nadine with an almost comical eagerness, his hands clasped together in a gesture of profound apology and deference. Miss Keller, 1,000 apologies for the delay. Clara should have known better than to question you. We are absolutely delighted to host Quantum Leap Solutions. Mr. Sterling himself reached out, praising your revolutionary software architecture. He called you a prodigy, Miss Keller, a true visionary. Schmidt's words were gushing, a torrent of flattery that would have made a lesser person blush with pride. But Nadine remained composed, her gaze unwavering. She had heard enough empty praise in her life to recognize the insincerity behind it when it was offered solely due to newfound status. The details are precise, Mr. Schmidt, Nadine stated, her voice calm but firm. The security protocols, the specific bandwidth requirements for the live demonstrations, and the catering for a high-profile international delegation. Everything must be flawless. Schmidt nodded vigorously, pulling out a tablet. Absolutely, Miss Keller, flawless. We understand the magnitude of this event. Rest assured, your vision will be realized to perfection. He pulled up the contract on his screen, scrolling through the clauses. And as per Mr. Sterling's insistence, the penthouse suite for yourself and the entire executive floor for your team, every detail meticulously handled. Nadine allowed a faint smile to touch her lips. Alistair Sterling, the astute investor, wasn't just backing her startup. He was subtly ensuring her comfort and status, understanding the quiet battles she might still face. He had seen beyond her humble exterior, recognizing the diamond beneath the rough. His willingness to take an unconventional risk on an overlooked engineer had set into motion a chain of events that was about to redefine Nadine's entire world. This interaction was the first ripple in a pond that was about to experience a tidal wave. The hotel staff, once dismissive, now regarded her with awe. The invisible girl was becoming undeniably, brilliantly visible. The stage was set, not just for a corporate launch, but for Nadine's own grand unveiling. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of intense preparation. Nadine, now at the helm of Quantum Leap Solutions, navigated complex technical challenges, strategic partnerships, and investor relations with an unwavering focus. Mr. Sterling, true to his word, was a constant source of support, but more importantly, a mentor who truly believed in her intellectual prowess. He didn't just invest capital, he invested trust and respect. He saw her, truly saw her, not as the unassuming young woman her family dismissed, but as the brilliant mind capable of reshaping an industry. His calls were frequent, not micromanaging, but offering astute insights, always ending with an encouraging word. Nadine, he'd say, his voice gravelly with experience but bright with genuine enthusiasm. Your algorithms are elegant, your approach revolutionary. Don't let anyone tell you differently. The world needs what you're building. These words, simple yet profound, resonated more deeply than any familial praise ever had. They were the validation she had always craved, offered freely by someone who truly understood the language of innovation. Meanwhile, the Schlossgarten Hotel buzzed with the impending event. Mr. Schmidt, once skeptical, was now practically an extension of Nadine's team, personally overseeing every detail, ensuring the grand ballroom was transformed into a state-of-the-art presentation space. He personally ensured the latest projection systems were installed, the bandwidth capabilities were triple-checked, and the catering was designed to impress a global tech elite. He saw the enormity of her quiet leadership, the clarity of her vision, and the meticulousness with which she handled every aspect of the launch. He had witnessed the transformation firsthand, from a mere booking on a ledger to a monumental event that would elevate the hotel's prestige. One afternoon, as Nadine was reviewing layout plans with Schmidt in the grand ballroom, a familiar voice cut through the quiet. "Nadine? Is that really you?" Her mother stood at the entrance, her eyes wide with curiosity, quickly shifting to suspicion as she took in Nadine's authoritative stance and Mr. Schmidt's deferential bowing. She had apparently been in the hotel for a luncheon with her bridge club. Beside her, Lucas, looking smug, smirked. "Little Nadine playing CEO? What's this all about, Mom?" His tone was laced with derision, a casual cruelty that had long been her family's trademark. Nadine turned, her expression unreadable. "Mother, Lucas, what a surprise." Her voice was calm, devoid of the emotional reaction they might have expected. Her mother, ever the social climber, quickly adopted a saccharine smile. "Oh, darling, we heard the hotel was buzzing with some big event. Are you helping out? How wonderful of you to volunteer." She still couldn't conceive of Nadine as anything more than an assistant or a helper. Lucas chuckled. "Must be some charity event then. You always did have a soft spot for the underdog, Nadine." His words, meant to belittle, hung in the air, thick with dramatic irony. They were completely oblivious to the scale of the operation, the immense capital and reputation attached to it. Nadine's jaw tightened, not from anger, but from the sheer weight of their continued ignorance. Mr. Schmidt, sensing the shift in atmosphere and recognizing the family from the previous night's gathering, stepped forward, his face paling slightly. He had overheard their dismissive comments. "Mr. and Mrs. Keller," he interjected, his voice firm. "You seem to misunderstand. Miss Keller isn't helping out. This is her event, her company, Quantum Leap Solutions. She is the founder and CEO, and this launch is expected to draw major investors and tech leaders from around the world. It's a multi-million-euro venture, backed by Alistair Sterling himself." The words hung in the air, a devastating pronouncement. Nadine's parents froze, their smiles evaporating, replaced by stunned disbelief. Lucas's smirk vanished, his mouth slightly agape. The casual cruelty of their words rebounded, a stark and undeniable testament to their profound misjudgment. The very ground beneath their feet seemed to shift, revealing the chasm between their perception of Nadine and the undeniable truth of her rising power. The stage was now truly set, not just for a tech launch, but for a public, undeniable confrontation of truth against long-held prejudice. The silence in the grand ballroom was deafening, broken only by the hum of the cooling systems and the distant clatter from the kitchen. Nadine's mother paled, her carefully constructed facade crumbling. "CEO?" she whispered, her voice barely audible, as if the word itself was a foreign language when applied to her daughter. "Quantum Leap Solutions? But, you're a software engineer, dear, and we just celebrated Lucas's promotion." Her eyes darted from Nadine to Mr. Schmidt, seeking validation, denial, anything to discredit this sudden, uncomfortable reality. Lucas, ever the opportunist, quickly recovered from his initial shock. "Nadine, why didn't you tell us?" he demanded, a forced cheerfulness in his voice, attempting to reclaim some semblance of control over the narrative. "This is incredible. You should have said something. We could have helped." "Imagine, our family name associated with a venture backed by Alistair Sterling," this is huge." His tone shifted from derision to an almost frantic possessiveness, already trying to co-opt her success. Nadine looked at them, her gaze steady and unwavering. There was no anger in her eyes, only a profound sense of clarity. "I did tell you," she stated simply, her voice resonating through the vast hall. "I told you I was pursuing my master's, that I was building something important. But you were too busy celebrating superficial achievements, too blinded by outdated notions of success to truly see me." Her words, delivered calmly, were sharper than any shout, cutting through years of dismissive silence. Mr. Schmidt, witnessing the unfolding family drama, shifted uncomfortably, but remained steadfastly by Nadine's side, a silent testament to his newfound respect for her. He had seen enough of her quiet, relentless work to know the truth of her words. He had seen the humility, the quiet determination, and the sheer intellectual horsepower that truly defined her. He was now her ardent advocate. Nadine's mother attempted a desperate maneuver, stepping forward, her hand reaching out as if to touch Nadine, to claim her. "Nadine, darling, we always believed in you. Of course we did. You're our daughter. This is wonderful news. Your father will be so proud." Her voice was tinged with a forced warmth, a pathetic attempt to rewrite history. Lucas nodded enthusiastically. "Absolutely. Family sticks together. We can throw an even bigger party to celebrate the launch. The whole family can be involved." Nadine finally allowed a faint, bitter smile to touch her lips. "Involved?" she repeated, the word hanging heavy in the air. "Where were you when I worked 3 jobs to pay for my tuition? When I coded through the night, fueled by instant coffee and ambition? Where was your pride then? Where was your belief when I was relegated to the children's table, while Lucas, whose promotion you celebrated, barely understood a line of code?" Her gaze swept over them, cool and assessing. "You saw what you wanted to see. You heard what you wanted to hear. My worth was never measured by my achievements in your eyes, but by my proximity to your expectations, or lack thereof." The truth of her words hung heavy in the air, undeniable and devastating. Lucas recoiled, his face flushing with a mixture of shame and fury. Her mother's hand dropped, her face slack with defeat. They had nowhere to hide. The dramatic irony had reached its painful, cathartic climax. Nadine wasn't seeking their validation any longer. She wasn't asking for their acceptance. She was simply stating the truth of her journey, a journey they had chosen to ignore. Her quiet power had finally exploded, not with a roar, but with a precise, unwavering statement of self-worth. The silence that followed was no longer deafening, it was clarifying. It was the sound of old perceptions shattering, of a new reality taking firm root. Nadine, the overlooked girl, stood before them, not as an underdog seeking approval, but as a formidable leader, undeniably in control of her own destiny. This was her moment, earned through years of unseen struggle, now brilliantly, irrevocably seen. In the shattering silence of the grand ballroom, Nadine's words resonated, leaving her family exposed and vulnerable. Her mother's carefully crafted persona of the doting matriarch lay in ruins, her eyes downcast, unable to meet Nadine's steady gaze. Lucas, for once, was speechless, his usual arrogance replaced by a mixture of shock and profound humiliation. His jaw was clenched, his hands balled into fists at his sides, as if fighting the urge to lash out against the undeniable truth. Mr. Schmidt, witnessing the raw emotion of the moment, discreetly ushered them towards the exit. "Perhaps, Mr. and Mrs. Keller, Mr. Lucas, it would be best if we continued our discussions regarding the launch preparations. Miss Keller has a very busy schedule." His tone was polite but firm, an unspoken directive for them to leave. Nadine's mother mumbled a weak apology, a barely coherent whisper of, "We just wanted to celebrate you, dear," before allowing herself to be led away, Lucas trailing behind, his shoulders slumped in defeat. As the large doors closed behind them, shutting out the last remnants of their presence, Nadine let out a slow, steady breath. A weight she hadn't realized she was carrying lifted from her shoulders. It wasn't about revenge, it was about liberation. She had spoken her truth, not out of malice, but out of necessity, to firmly establish the boundary between her past and her future. Mr. Schmidt turned to her, his expression apologetic. Miss Keller, I am truly sorry for that intrusion. Rest assured, it won't happen again. We will ensure your privacy and focus for the remainder of the preparations. Nadine offered him a small, genuine smile. Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Your understanding means a great deal. The transformation in their relationship was complete. He no longer saw a booking, he saw a person worthy of profound respect. The incident, rather than derailing her, only strengthened her resolve. It clarified her purpose and solidified her vision. In the following weeks, the launch of Quantum Leap Solutions was nothing short of spectacular. Tech giants, venture capitalists, and media representatives from around the globe flocked to the Schlossgarten Hotel, the very venue that had once been the setting for her family's dismissiveness. Nadine, no longer a quiet figure in the corner, stood on the stage of the grand ballroom, commanding attention with her insightful presentation and groundbreaking software. Her voice, clear and confident, articulated a vision that resonated deeply with the industry leaders in attendance. Alistair Sterling, seated in the front row, watched with a proud smile, a silent testament to his faith in her. His brief introduction of Nadine had been powerful, acknowledging her genius and resilience, implicitly validating her against any unseen struggles. He had become not just her investor, but her most ardent champion, ensuring that her brilliance shone unimpeded. The success of the launch was immediate and undeniable. Quantum Leap Solutions became the name on everyone's lips, its stock soaring, its innovative platform poised to redefine an entire sector. Nadine, the overlooked virtuoso, was now hailed as a visionary, a trailblazer, her name synonymous with innovation and quiet strength. The media clamored for interviews, her story of self-funded success and pioneering spirit captivating audiences far beyond the tech world. But amidst the clamor, Nadine remained grounded. Her strength wasn't in the accolades, but in the unwavering belief she had forged within herself. The success of Quantum Leap Solutions rippled outwards, extending far beyond the immediate financial triumphs. Nadine's story became a beacon, illuminating the quiet power of perseverance and the profound injustice of being underestimated. The media, fascinated by her meteoric rise from obscurity, highlighted her journey as a testament to the hidden potential that often lies overlooked in plain sight. Interviews and profiles featured her not just as a brilliant engineer, but as an inspiration, a modern fable of triumph over adversity. She spoke with a calm conviction, never dwelling on bitterness, but always emphasizing the importance of self-belief and recognizing one's own worth, even when others fail to see it. Her words resonated deeply, especially with young people struggling to find their voice in a world that often values outward appearances over intrinsic talent. The Schlossgarten Hotel itself experienced a subtle but significant shift. Mr. Schmidt, thoroughly chastened and profoundly impacted by Nadine's journey, implemented new training protocols for his staff. He emphasized the importance of treating every guest with respect, regardless of their initial presentation. He often recounted the story of mispresentation. Keller, using it as a cautionary tale against prejudice, and a powerful lesson in humility. The concierges, bellhops, and receptionists were reminded that true distinction often doesn't announce itself with fanfare, but with quiet dignity. Clara, the concierge who had initially dismissed Nadine, approached her after a follow-up meeting, her eyes brimming with genuine remorse. "Miss Keller," she began, her voice soft. "I wanted to apologize for my behavior that morning. I judged you unfairly. I learned a valuable lesson from you. And I'm truly grateful." Nadine met her gaze with kindness. "We all have lessons to learn, Clara. What matters is that we learn them." It was a small, personal redemption, a testament to the ripple effect of Nadine's integrity. The relationship with her family remained fractured, but in a way, it became a different kind of healing. Her parents, humbled by her undeniable success and the public narrative of her struggle, made tentative attempts to reconnect, not out of genuine understanding, but out of a belated realization of what they had missed. Lucas, still grappling with his own diminished status in the shadow of her brilliance, offered a clumsy apology, a grudging acknowledgement of her genius. Nadine received their overtures with a quiet detachment. She knew that true connection wasn't built on belated recognition of success, but on consistent validation and respect. She wasn't seeking their approval anymore, she was simply existing in her truth. Her focus was on her work, on the team she was building, and on the quiet satisfaction of knowing she had forged her own path entirely on her own terms. The grand ballroom, once a symbol of her family's dismissiveness, had become the powerful stage for her own destiny. Every time she stepped into its opulent space, she carried with her not the weight of past slights, but the lightness of hard-won victory, a quiet, profound empowerment that resonated with every step. Nadine Keller's journey from the children's table to the pinnacle of technological innovation was more than just a personal triumph, it was a profound illustration of a universal truth. That true worth is rarely loud, often overlooked, and almost always resides within, waiting for the courage to express itself. Her quiet strength, born from years of being underestimated, became her greatest asset. She never sought to prove her family wrong through confrontation, but rather through the undeniable force of her own achievements, allowing her success to be the eloquent, irrefutable argument. She built her empire not on the shifting sands of external validation, but on the bedrock of self-belief. The irony of her story, unfolding in the very venue where her family's dismissiveness reached its peak, served as a powerful reminder that the stage of your destiny can often be found in the most unexpected places, even those fraught with past pain. Her master's degree, earned through sheer grit, became the intellectual foundation for Quantum Leap Solutions, a company now poised to revolutionize an industry. Her quiet, diligent work, once ignored, was now celebrated on a global scale. Alistair Sterling, the perceptive authority figure, played a crucial role, not by saving Nadine, but by seeing her, truly seeing the extraordinary potential that others were blind to. He represented the rare leader who looks beyond appearances, beyond social constructs, and recognizes intrinsic merit. His willingness to take a risk on the overlooked became a catalyst not just for Nadine's success, but for a shift in perspective for all those around him, challenging the ingrained biases of the status quo. The antagonist in Nadine's story was not a singular villain, but the pervasive skepticism, the careless oversight, and the deep-seated prejudices embodied by her own family and the initial reactions of the hotel staff. They represented the barrier that countless hidden gems face, the world's unwillingness to look past superficial markers of success. Yet, Nadine's story shows that these barriers can be overcome, not always by tearing them down with aggression, but by building something so undeniably magnificent that they simply crumble under the weight of its brilliance. Her arc was one of quiet resilience, moving from the silent burden of invisibility to the resounding clarity of recognition, ultimately becoming a catalyst for positive change in the broader environment, challenging the very perceptions of worth itself. The emotional journey was palpable, the tension of her suppressed frustration, the quiet hope of her relentless efforts, the catharsis of her dignified confrontation, and the ultimate uplifting triumph of her empowerment. It was a narrative infused with a deep sense of justice, a feeling that merit, finally, found its rightful place. Nadine's story wasn't about being loud, it was about being undeniably, profoundly true to oneself, and allowing that truth to shine so brightly that it illuminated everyone in its path. It was a testament to the power of self-worth, a quiet revolution sparked by one woman's unwavering belief in her own potential. Her resolution was not the grand, dramatic showdown one might expect in a tale of triumph, but a quiet affirmation of her self-worth. Nadine did not gloat, she simply existed in her truth. The emotional transformation within her was complete. She was no longer defined by the dismissiveness of others, but by the strength of her own convictions and the tangible reality of her achievements. Her quiet demeanor remained, but it was now imbued with an unshakable confidence, a serenity that came from knowing her true value. She continued to lead quantum leap solutions with the same meticulous attention to detail and innovative spirit that had brought her this far. Her life was now rich with purpose, surrounded by a team that respected and admired her, and by a mentor who saw her as an equal. The fame and fortune were mere byproducts. The real treasure was the profound self-acceptance she had finally achieved. The family, particularly her mother and Lucas, struggled to adapt to this new reality. Their attempts to reconnect often felt hollow, tinged with regret, and a desperate desire to reclaim some association with her success. Nadine responded with polite but firm boundaries, offering forgiveness but not forgetting the years of neglect. She understood that a genuine relationship required more than belated recognition of success. It required true, consistent respect, a quality they had failed to provide when it mattered most. Their redemption, if it was to come, would have to be forged through their own internal reckoning, not through her validation. The story became a powerful reminder for many that the quiet ones, the ones who work diligently in the shadows, often possess the most extraordinary capabilities. It debunked the myth that worth is only found in outward showmanship or inherited privilege. Nadine's quiet revolution was not just about building a tech empire, it was about dismantling societal prejudices, one act of quiet excellence at a time. Her journey echoed the timeless wisdom that a person's true character and potential are not determined by their external circumstances or the opinions of others, but by their inner resolve and unwavering commitment to their own path. It was a story of hope, a testament to the fact that even when the world seems to dim your light, you possess the power to make it shine brighter than anyone thought possible. Nadine Keller's triumph was a victory for every individual who has ever felt unseen, unheard, or unappreciated. It was a profound statement that true leadership isn't always loud or flamboyant. Sometimes, it's the quietest voice that holds the most power, the most transformative vision. Her legacy wasn't just in the code she wrote, but in the enduring message of self-worth she embodied. Nadine's story, now etched into the annals of quiet triumphs, serves as a poignant reminder for all of us. Have you ever underestimated someone, judging them by their unassuming exterior, by their quietness, by their perceived lack of status? Or perhaps, more importantly, have you ever underestimated yourself, allowing the voices of doubt or the dismissiveness of others to dim your own inner light? Nadine Keller's journey teaches us that the greatest potential often lies hidden, not in the loudest room, but in the most diligent mind. It teaches us that true worth isn't given. It's recognized, first by ourselves, and then, inevitably, by the world around us. Her story is a testament to the power of quiet resilience, a defiant whisper against a world that often mistakes silence for weakness. It challenges us to look deeper, beyond the surface, to see the hidden brilliance in others, and more importantly, to acknowledge and nurture our own. So, what silent battles are you fighting? What hidden gems do you possess that the world is yet to see? Don't wait for external validation. Cultivate your own internal fire. Share this story with someone who needs to be reminded that their worth is intrinsic, not dependent on the approval of others. Comment below and tell us about a time you felt unseen and how you found the strength to shine. Let Nadine's journey inspire you to embrace your own quiet power, to persist in your purpose, and to trust that your true value will, in time, become undeniably clear. Remember, sometimes, the greatest strength is found not in making noise, but in making an undeniable, profound impact.